June 4, 1942. As the first rays of sunlight rise over the central Pacific, dawn breaks. At that very moment, a massive wave of Japanese aircraft is on its way toward Midway Atoll. 4 aircraft carriers, loaded with fighters and bombers, sail as part of the largest strike force Japan has ever assembled. The goal is simple: to finish what began at Pearl Harbor and eliminate the U.S. Pacific Fleet once and for all. But imagine changing one variable. Out of the ocean emerges something that shouldn't exist for another 70 years. This is the USS Zumwalt, a futuristic stealth destroyer launched in 2016, displacing 15,000 tons. It carries weapons powerful enough to level cities and sensors that can see far beyond the horizon. What happens when one of the most advanced warships of the 21st century suddenly faces off against the Imperial Japanese Navy at the height of its power? Zumwalt looks nothing like the destroyers of World War II. Its sharp, angular design could easily be mistaken for something drawn up by aliens intent on defeating enemy radar. Its unique hull makes the massive 620-foot ship appear on radar no larger than a fishing boat. And that's just the beginning. The vessel mounts 80 vertical launch cells, each capable of unleashing precision-guided missiles, among them SM-6 interceptors, striking aerial targets at more than 150 miles, Tomahawk cruise missiles with a 1,000-mile reach, able to weave through terrain and slam into a chosen window, and ESSMS, the close-range guardians, ready to swat down anything foolish enough to get close. The ship also carries 2 155mm advanced gun systems, originally designed to fire revolutionary long-range shells. But the price of those rounds spiraled so high they were canceled, leaving the cannons as little more than expensive deck ornaments. The true brain of the ship lies in its AN/SPY-3 radar system, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously. It guides missiles with pinpoint accuracy, analyzes the battle space in real time, and if it could, might even brew coffee while filing your taxes. Its power plant generates 78 megawatts of electricity, enough to light a small city. The ship can sprint at over 30 knots, while producing less noise than a library. For the sailors of 1942, it would appear as a sorcerer's machine from another world. But even such a marvel isn't guaranteed victory. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto commands Japan's finest. His strike force includes 4 carriers that had struck Pearl Harbor just 6 months earlier: Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Hiryu. Together, they form floating airfields, able to launch. More than 270 aircraft. On board are Japan's most seasoned aviators. Their Mitsubishi A6M0 fighters are agile and deadly. Their bombers, the Kate and Val, bring destruction from the skies. By 1942, these pilots were among the best on the planet, hardened by years of training and combat. And they are not alone. The fleet is escorted by battleships, cruisers, and destroyers, over 100 warships in total. Looming in the distance sails the pride of Japan, the battleship Yamato, whose monstrous 18-inch guns hurl shells the size of cars across dozens of kilometers. Yet all of this power is bound by the limitations of 1942. Their radar is primitive, their fire control manual. They must physically see a target before opening fire. Even at best, their weapons reach no more than 25 miles. Zumwalt can kill from distances they cannot even fathom. At 0430 hours, the first wave of 108 Japanese aircraft takes to the skies, flying in tight formation and confident of their numerical superiority. But 100 miles away, Zumwalt's SPY-3 radar paints them as bright dots. Its computer systems process the data in microseconds and make the call, engage. For the Japanese pilots, this will become the most lopsided aerial battle in history. The destroyer's deck erupts. The first SM-6 missile arcs into the sky at Mach 3.5, another follows, then another. For the Zumwalt's crew, it's almost routine. For the Japanese, it's unexplainable horror. A moment ago, their formation was flawless. The next, planes vanish in fireballs, destroyed by weapons they cannot see. There is no dogfight, no visible enemy, just sudden death striking from nowhere. Panic spreads. Some pilots dive for the sea, skimming the waves. Others claw for altitude, desperate to escape. Their perfect formation disintegrates in seconds. Meanwhile, Zumwalt's systems calmly track every aircraft, launching missile after missile with mechanical precision. The computer does not hesitate, it does not miss. By the time survivors reach Midway, half their comrades are gone. Those who manage to drop bombs do so hastily and inaccurately before fleeing back to their carriers, shaken and terrified. On the bridge of the Akagi, Admiral Chuichi Nagumo listens to their reports in disbelief. At first it sounds like hysteria, talk of planes vanishing without cause, of an unseen enemy in the skies. But when not a single missing aircraft returns, the nightmare becomes reality. Nagumo orders the second wave to launch immediately. 170 more planes surge toward what they believe is Midway. They could not be more wrong. Zumwalt has shifted position, invisible to the eyes and radars of 1942. The crew watches the approaching wave like icons on a video game screen. At the right moment, another salvo of SM-6s tears upward. Zeros, once the terror of the Pacific, explode in midair like paper targets. Torpedo bombers, loaded for ship-killing runs, turn into burning wrecks before they ever glimpse their quarry. The psychological impact is devastating. Veterans who once dominated the skies now find themselves helpless, hunted by a phantom enemy they cannot see, fight, or even comprehend. With the air threat broken, Zumwalt shifts to offense. Tomahawk cruise missiles roar off the launchers, streaking low and fast over the waves, flying at 550 miles per hour. Just 50 feet above the surface, they are invisible to the technology of 1942. On the Akagi, lookouts barely spot a strange speck racing toward them before a deafening blast tears into the hull. A 1,000-pound warhead detonates, igniting aviation fuel. Within minutes, the ship that helped strike Pearl Harbor becomes a blazing inferno. Soon, Kaga and Soryu meet the same fate. Each Tomahawk strikes with surgical precision, arriving without warning, unstoppable and lethal. But even gods have limits. Zumwalt's magazines hold only so many missiles, and after the fury unleashed, the numbers dwindle fast. Worse still, the warship is fighting in 1942. There are no GPS satellites to guide weapons, no digital networks to share information, no spare parts for systems from the future. The crew must rely on what they have, hoping nothing critical fails. And lurking beneath the waves is danger of another kind. The Japanese submarine I-168 stalks somewhere in the depths. Its Type 95 torpedoes, with one lucky strike, could bring even the Zumwalt to ruin. For radar, the destroyer is invisible, but to a periscope, it is an obvious massive target. Zumwalt's sonar grants a huge advantage in the hunt, yet submarines are patient predators. One mistake could change everything. When the smoke clears, the outcome is unmistakable. 4 Japanese carriers are destroyed or sinking. Hundreds of irreplaceable pilots are gone. In a single morning, Japan's offensive power in the Pacific has been gutted. American losses? Barely measurable. The destroyer would be remembered as the Phantom of Midway, a war machine decades ahead of its time, collapsing years of conflict into a few decisive hours. And if you've ever wondered what might happen if a modern tank rolled ashore on D-Day, well, that's another story.